Hey, what's good, folks? You know what it is. It's your boy Jay. If you like the content, hit that like button. Also, hit the subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get to the Stephen A. clip. Fair use. Fair use.
You bring up all of those presidents and all of their sit-downs with vice presidents. Did any of them avoid a primary? Was any of them vice president when the president, the incumbent, literally had the path paved for him and everybody was moved out of the way so he couldn't be exposed for being cognitively declining? Did that happen with Barack Obama and Joe Biden? Mm-hmm. Did that happen with Trump and Pence? Mm-hmm. Did that happen with Hillary and Tim Kaine? Mm-hmm. Did that happen with Clinton and Gore? Did that happen with HW? I mean, think about it for a second here. And Mr. Dan Quayle himself, I had brain lock for a second. Pay attention. None of these people avoided a primary. None of these people were people that you didn't see debating candidates for their own party.
You know why? You know why they did that? Because I'm going to tell you something. And people don't want to really break this down. They knew that Joe Biden was not capable of doing it for a long time. And for them to say that they didn't, it should be a crime. Joe Biden was the incumbent. If Joe Biden was healthy enough, we wouldn't have the situation that we have today. And for her, Kamala Harris, to get basically handed the nomination is wrong. Because what about the people who wanted to select their own candidate? When Trump went up again this cycle, he had people to contend against. He had the Nikki Haley's. He had the Ben Carsons. He had those people to go against. And the people voted him to be the Republican nominee. Kamala was given to her. Joe Biden said, you know what? I got it. Basically, she was given to on a silver plate. That's what it was, man.
Where the people selected them. That did not happen with Kamala Harris. That did not happen before June 27th when Joe Biden showed up in a debate. And as Anthony Scaramucci, showing up on News Nation, being interviewed by Chris Cuomo, pointed out, and I quote, during the debate, President Joe Biden looked like a dude standing in a nursing home waiting for a nurse to feed him applesauce.
Exactly. I watched that debate. That was some of probably the most depressing stuff I've ever seen. Some of the most depressing stuff I've ever seen. Joe Biden looked like he shouldn't even been out there. And people are saying Donald Trump didn't do that well either. But I'm gonna tell you something. Donald Trump looked like he had some type of sense. Joe Biden looked totally out of it. And he said, oh, I was sick. I was trying to prepare too much. No, Joe, you didn't. You were out of it. Nancy Pelosi knew this. Schumer knew this. And Kamala definitely knew this. Because didn't Kamala say that Joe Biden was strong and he was condescending and all these different things in a previous interview? Now we all know that was wrong. But hey, what do I know?
That is a quote. And if Joe Biden looked that way in June 27th, what was he a month earlier?
Yep.
Or a month before that? Or
Yep.
a month before that?
Yep.
When those debates could have taken place. It was nowhere. We didn't see it because the Democrats greased the skids. So he didn't.
You know what he means when he means grease the skids? He means he greased the palms of those media outlets like CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS, all those media outlets. They got their palms greased so you wouldn't see it. You didn't see a lot of Joe Biden news conferences. You didn't see a lot of Joe Biden interviews. And even after the debate, they had Joe Biden sit down with Stephanopoulos, and it was worse. It was worse.
have to face competition. These are facts. These are facts. So if that is the backdrop, and you have somebody like Trump, who's very, very short on substance when he's articulating his message and defers to insults and one-liners and doing all of these kind of things, I believe you're playing right into his hands.
You are. Nobody said Donald Trump was the smartest person in the world. But one thing Donald Trump, he's a businessman. And businessmen, they are usually calculated. There's a reason why Donald Trump does all these rallies. There's a reason why Donald Trump does all these interviews. It's two things, because yeah, he's narcissistic, but he's also calculated. And even if he isn't as calculated as he used to be, he has people on his team who's calculated. But see, Donald Trump, the reason why people gravitate to Donald Trump is not because he's the smartest person in the world. The reason why people are gravitating to Donald Trump is because he seems to be the better of the two evils.
You can't see that? You, Kamala Harris, you're the vice president of the United States. You are a former senator, a former state attorney general in the second largest state in the region, in the republic. You're a former prosecutor. This man has been indicted. He's been convicted on 34 felony counts. He's been impeached twice. He's lost civil cases. And oh, by the way, he gets grilled at the National Association for Black Journalists, and his immediate response is, it's a very horrible question, the worst question that could have ever been asked. You didn't even say hello. How are you? This is what he does.
But see, also, at least he showed up. At least Donald Trump showed up to that. Where was Kamala Harris? The person who runs it said, and I quote, "We invited both of the candidates. Donald Trump was the only one to show up." Donald Trump showed up to a place where he knew he was going to get grilled. He knew they weren't going to like him. He still showed up anyway. Where was Kamala Harris? My question for you.
He goes up against Marco Rubio. He called him Little Marco. He said Jeb Bush, low energy. Carla Fiorini, she's a 4. Teasing Chris Christie about his weight. Called Ron DeSantis, Ron DeSanctimonious. The man comes up with one-liners that are catchy, and as a result, people gravitate to that. They pay very little attention to whatever substance he may have or is lacking, and he wins anyway.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even do it by winning the popular vote. He lost the popular vote in 2016. He lost it again in 2020. You, Kamala Harris, what the hell are you doing? I'm not saying what are you doing as in right now. The strategy thus far is fine. I'm talking about moving forward.
Nah, bro. The strategy is not good. The strategy is terrible. This is the thing that she needs to do. She needed to do. Once she got that call from Joe Biden, she should have got a news conference set up. She should have did a couple of interviews, did an interview with CNN, did an interview with Fox, do as many interviews as possible, get your name out there. Because a lot of people, this is the problem with Kamala Harris. A lot of people forgot about her. A lot of people forgot about her because you're the vice president. You don't really go through a lot. You haven't been through a lot. You haven't done a lot of interviews and things like that. Okay, you did a couple of interviews here and there, but a lot of people don't know you. Once you got that call from Joe Biden, the first thing you should have did a couple of interviews, got your name out there so people can know you. And the first interview you do was 18 minutes. 18 minutes total.
And when you know the world is transfixed on you as the potential next president of the United States, and we're looking to see what you do, you show up with Tim Walz by your side? Really? Really? You know we were looking for you. You know we wanted to hear from you. No disrespect to him whatsoever. But ain't nobody, how many times you gonna hear that he's a school teacher and a former coach? That he gets you? How many times? We know this already. We got it. You want to talk to us about the state of affairs in Minnesota? You want to talk to us about it being one of the highest tax states in the republic? You want to talk to us about whatever crime is going on there? What your positions were during the riots, etc., etc. I'm down with you. I got it. But there's millions of people who disagree. If you want to go that route, no. Nobody cared. You know why? They want to hear from her.
And that's the problem. See, if you go back to different presidential nominees, they have done interviews with their vice presidents. But this is the thing. It's not the first interview they've done. If you look back, let's go back to Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine back in 2016. Hillary Clinton sat down and did interviews before before Tim Kaine became her running mate, and then they did an interview together. Donald Trump did an interview before he picked Mike Pence. You could go back to Barack Obama. He did interviews before him and Joe Biden did interviews. How is this the first interview of you being the Democratic nominee, and the first interview you give is with your running mate? You could have saved that interview for later on down the road. This is the first interview you do, and it was only 18 minutes. People want to hear from you. Voters want to hear from you. I'm not talking about the people that are going to vote for you, because you got those people locked up. You got the women locked up. You got the LGBTQ. You got that locked up. But what about people like Stephen A. Smith, who say he's an independent? He wants to hear from you, Kamala. And this is why you get videos like this.
And why do they want to hear from her? Because when she was the vice president, you never heard from her. And she was getting blamed for stuff that she may not have deserved to get blamed for. Well, what is it? We're blaming you for flip-flopping on fracking. Is it true? Are you? Healthcare. Has your position flip-flopped on that? Or is it the same? They're talking about, you got surrogates out there talking about, now you willing to support building a wall after you spoke against it. You know, is that true? Is it?
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna let him go ahead and continue to talk. But this is the one thing that I think. Dana Bash and CNN did a poor job of really grilling her. They gave her so many softball questions. If I guarantee you, if it was Stephen A, even though he's on the liberals' pocket, Stephen A probably would have did a better job. Those are the questions that people want to hear. These are the questions that people want to hear, and the answers they want to get. You didn't get that from that interview. So people have more questions than answers, and this is why all of the newspaper articles, all the online articles are slamming this interview, even though CNN and all those liberal you-know-whats are praising the interview. How is CNN the only network praising the interview? That's a question I got, man.
These are legitimate questions, is all I'm saying. I'm not castigating her. I'm not casting convictions upon her or anything like that. I'm saying we want to hear from her. I don't give a damn about hearing from Tim Walz right now. He's the vice president nominee. We got it. We understand. We ain't trying to hear from him, no. We want to hear from her. Because we've been waiting to hear from you for 4 years. We want to see where you stand and why. And oh, by the way, it's Teflon done as Donald Trump may be. That's with his constituents. It's not with registered independents. That's who you're trying to win over. Where you at? Ladies and gentlemen, she ain't going up against Mitt Romney, who knows his stuff. Say what you want about Ron DeSantis. He knows his stuff. She ain't going up against Nikki Haley. Whatever your positions may be, with the border wall, with inflation, with crime in Democratic cities, although there's crime in Republican-led cities too.
Yeah, but the Democratic cities have the highest rate. The Democratic cities have the highest rate, Stephen A. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna go ahead and let them talk for a second. I'm gonna let them talk, but I want to talk about why I think the Democrats didn't. I think they took this too lightly with Donald Trump. Because honestly, if this was Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis or somebody like this, they wouldn't have did this. They think that they think because they have a certain demographic locked up that they don't have to do this. It's like, okay, we can feed you anything and you're going to take it anyway. This is why people like Stephen A have questions. This is why she's losing more and more of the black vote, because the Democrats think that we could just give them anything and they'll vote for them. Some people, you can do that. Some people don't care. Some people will vote for her because she's a woman. Some people will vote for her because she's a woman of color. They will do that. But people who have a big interest in what is going to go on for the next 4 years, they want to hear from her. They want to hear from her. And I guarantee you, they're going to flip-flop and other stuff is going to happen. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Let's continue.
The point is, that ain't even it. The issue is, you did this in your first press conference, Kamala Harris. You sat up there and said, believe me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. You talked about dealing with criminals, fraudsters, and, con artists. And then you said, believe me when I say, ladies and gentlemen, I know Donald Trump's type. Well, if you know his type and you're accustomed to dealing with him, why is he the one doing a bunch of interviews?
True.
Again, the strategy was fine. I'm not complaining about the strategy you employed up to this point. I'm saying be clear. That ain't going to win you the presidency.
So you agree with the strategy, but you're saying this strategy that you're using won't win you the presidency. Stephen A., you're confusing me. You're confusing me with this crap, man. Honestly, if you don't agree with the strategy, just say you don't agree with the strategy. I know you're a shield, but hey, just say that you don't agree with the strategy.
And for your first interview, and by the way, you know the code that he's using. Nod your head, Rashawn. Nod your head, Honor Free, especially you, Honor Free. Oh, especially you. All right, and you too, Bailey. All of yous. Nod your head. Is Trump, yes or no? Is Trump not using codes when he points out that she's hiding? He's leaning on gender. I'm a man. I'm strong. Look at the war in Russia and in Ukraine with Russia. Look at what's going on with Israel and Palestine in the Gaza Strip and beyond. Look at the kind of troubles that we're experiencing, whether it's North Korea, it's China, or whatever. Iran, Iraq. I mean, come on, y'all. Look at all of this. You think she's strong enough? She can't even show up to do a hard interview. I show up all the time. This is what...
I mean, it's true. It's damn true. Like Kurt Angle would say, it's true, it's damn true. The man showed up on Aiden Raw stream. He shows up on Fox every day. I can't, Fox, they must be paying him. JD Vance showed up on NBC. Donald Trump shows up. And he's like, if I can show up and do these interviews, I can show up at these rallies and do all these rallies and do all these things. I'm showing you that I'm gonna be up front. Even if Donald Trump is an asshole, he's showing you that he's up front with it. I watched the interview. She looked uncomfortable. It was a softball interview. And people like Stephen A. Smith who are independents are like, yo, what are you doing? Give me something to gravitate to.
What he's doing. We all know what that is. You feeding into machismo. You trying to say commander-in-chief. He didn't do that to Hillary. He said a lot of things about Hillary, like crooked Hillary and stuff like that. He ain't never implied she was scared.
Mm-mm.
He ain't never implied she was running.
Mm-mm.
Because Hillary Clinton was smart as a whip and know her stuff. We all know. The most qualified woman to ever run for president in this country's history. Without question. Ain't that supposed to be Kamala? HBCU grad. Prosecutor. State Attorney General. Senator. Reigning Vice President of the United States of America. Kamala Harris has all the credentials in the world to stand tall, stand straight up, and be like, yo, this is the way it's going to be. Let's get it on.
Yeah. You say that, Stephen A. She has the credentials. You can have all the credentials in the world. Your resume can be impeccable. But if you don't have the what's the word I'm looking for? If you don't have the confidence, then you can't do it. Being the president of the United States, you have to have confidence. This is why I said when I looked at that interview, I didn't see confidence. Yes, she's a prosecutor. Yes, she's the vice president. Yes, she's a former senator. She has all. If you look at Kamala Harris's resume, based on resume, she can do the job. The problem is that she's not articulating that resume through her actions. She's not articulating that through her actions. And this is why people like Stephen A. are coming online and grilling her. Because if she articulates that resume, she will win. But you know what? Donald Trump and them are going to expose that. She's not articulating it. And it's sad. Because at the end of the day, I don't blame her. I blame the Democratic Party. I blame Nancy Pelosi. I blame Joe Biden. I blame Chuck Schumer. I blame all those other folks who didn't, I wouldn't say prepare her, but if they would have told Joe Biden, and they probably knew Joe Biden was going through this a while ago. If they would have told Joe Biden this a while ago, yo, you need to step aside. If they did this a year ago and had her go through the ringer and go through all this stuff a year ago, she would have been well prepared. Either she would have been prepared or she would have been exposed. Just my thought. It's your boy Jay here with another video. Like I said, if you like the content, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. On my road to 10,000 subscribers. What do you think about what Stephen A. Smith said? Let's get the conversation started in the comments below. Until next time.